Shalom. Shalom and blessings to you, saints. Hey, I'm here. This is a day that Yahweh has made, and I will continue to rejoice and to be glad in it. Who would know? Who would have thought that at this hour I'll be before you? Some of you are already snoring, I guess. But as you awaken, in the morning as you awake, you will be able to. Should Yahweh tarry, you would have an opportunity to see the replay of this, or to just replay it. Because my presence here is not about how many, or not governed by how many of you are awake or alert. It's about doing that which I've been assigned to. Blessings and shalom to you all. I had announced I will be here at 8, but there's an event held today, and given my nature, given how I function, I'm so grateful for the young men who were around Forward Ghana Movement. They compelled me to leave because I'm the kind of person who stick around until everything is done. But I trust the quality of leaders that they are, and the likes of Byron, Conan, Elton, Jason, and all of you brothers. I'm so grateful. Somebody said, should you ask? Yeah, you need to ask for autograph. But let me share this with you all, saints. As I said, this right here, it doesn't matter what hour of the day it is. This is my most critical assignment. Preaching the gospel of Yeshua the Messiah. Preaching to the body of Yeshua the Messiah. Speaking to leaders, especially those who are compromised and wicked, the likes of the one who is paid to be president. It has been quite a while since Guyana has had such a disingenuous person. Barajaglio ranks maybe parallel to Irfanali in reference to the things that they've caused to happen to our nation, and that is why they function together. They are extremely dangerous to the well-being of us as a people. And this is not a statement based on a political position. This is a spiritual statement I'm making to you. When there are men in your nation, or there are people in your nation, who would observe that which is evil, wicked, depraved, and seek to defend the same, when this man, a father, Irfan, could sit and look before a nation of people and lie about an 11-year-old girl being in a pool, this is not about politics. This is dangerous. This demonstrates to you Guyanese the heart of this man. Hence we're speaking tonight to when prophets fear kings. When prophets fear kings. Greetings to you all, saints. I bid you shalom. If you don't mind, you can share the broadcast. Don't wake people up. Do not text them now. Tell them life. Let them rest. My brother Fabian was asking me today, when do you ever get to rest? And I can understand the question, because I actually tell people, when my mother would implore me and insist that I rest, I tell her, you rest when you're dead. That's why you have when people say R.I.P., rest in peace. So for as long as I'm breathing, I have something to do. But active minds and productive minds don't spend many hours in bed. Yirmeyahu, his name is not Jeremiah, his name is Yirmeyahu. He never was called Jeremiah. The name Jeremiah never existed when this prophet lived. And I always say these things to you because the truth is what matters to me. It doesn't matter how many friends I lose for speaking the truth. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is whether I'm doing that which I've been assigned to, which is to preach the truth in season and out of season. For there's a time when men will not desire to hear the truth. This is now. We are in an era where people hate hearing the truth. And therefore, there are those who call prophets who are afraid to speak the truth because they know what people hate. I am not qualified to be in that number, for I've been called by Yahweh Elohim, which is Yahweh my God, chosen to speak the truth. Let's not forget that beginning on Friday evening, Friday of this week, we will be in quarantine at our Apostolic Reforming Movement Conference. Oh, how much I long for these moments where the saints will be gathering to glorify Yahweh, gathering to give him praise, gathering to listen to the apostolic leaders address the body who fellowship with us. So we have got one international delegate already in. A son of mine, Malachi, is here. I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to know that Malachi is present. From the US, he's here. And we're headed to Belize. What's so critical for us to gather from this conference is we're speaking to when saints know their God. That is what the theme, the focus of this conference is about. When you know your God, there's certain things that will be manifested. And this is the time. This is the hour. Yahweh has promised us this year at Rosh Hashanah that we would have had grace to do far more than you can think. I never thought that this would have been my experience. But he leads and he knows what he's doing. So let's get into the text. These are the words, Yirmeyahu chapter 1. His name is not Jeremiah. These are the words of Yirmeyahu, the son of Hilkiyahu, one of the priests living in Anatot, in the territory of Benjamin. Verse 2, the word of Yahweh came to him during the days of Yeshayahu, the son of Ammon, the king of Yehudah, in the 13th year of his reign. Pay attention. It also came during the days of Yehoiakim, the son of Yoshiyahu, king of Yehudah, continuing until the 11th year of Zidkiyahu, the son of Yoshiyahu, many names are, king of Yehudah, right up until the time of Yerushalayim, when Yerushalayim was carried away captive in the 5th month. Verse 4. Here is the word of Yahweh that came to me. The complete Jewish Bible says Adonai, because David Stern did not want to offend the Hebrew people, and those who are not truly Hebrew, by the way. And so what he did is he tried to put Adonai where Yahweh should be. For they feel that if you say Yahweh, you are using the name of Yahweh in vain. They honor his name so much. But that's not what Yahweh has said. Yahweh said his name shall be known. He also said that those who call on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. He said that his name, the name Yahweh, is a strong tower. It cannot be a tower if you don't know it. When Elijah, Yeryahu had the issue with the prophets of Baal, he said, you call on Baal, you call on your God, and I'll call on Yahweh. He had to say the name. So this notion that you cannot say Yahweh's name is nonsensical. However, you're not supposed to use his name in vain or in an empty manner. And most of you are guilty of doing that. Where you say, Yahweh told me I should buy this car, Yahweh said I should get this tire, Yahweh said I should get this dress. That is what you shouldn't be doing. Because you're using his name in an empty way. But here, verse 4, the word of Yahweh that came to Yirmeyahu. Now, once I read this, you all know it from Sunday school, Sabbath school, but do you really know what he said? Before I formed you in the womb, listen to this, I knew you. Before you were born, I separated you for myself. I have appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. Malachi, if you're there, make me some or Mari some tea with lime, please. I need to get my voice in order. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I separated you for myself. I have appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. I do not know how and under what circumstance would anybody in any church decide that this is okay to grab and say this applies to you. How do you have the right to say that this is a text that applies to you when it is clearly speaking to a person? Yahweh said to one person that before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I separated you from myself. So we go to the gift he's speaking to as well. I have appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. Why? What was the purpose that this prophet would serve? Why was there a cause to have a prophet appointed to the nations? Do you know of prophets in this country? In your country, wherever you are in the world today, wherever you view me from, do you know of prophets who have been appointed to the nation? Not to a political party. I don't know how we have prophets who are attaching themselves to political parties and swearing to prophesy favor on that party. It doesn't work like that. So you're going to become uncomfortable here because we need to have spiritual matters addressed by spiritual authority. You do not, as a prophet, have allegiance to a political ideology. What you have as a prophet is an assignment. If this speaks to you, as you want to claim it, it would be an assignment to deal with nations. To do what? Why would Yahweh approach this young man? And you hear his age, because some of you know it from preaching or whatever you do. He said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So what's this? If Yahweh knew Yirmeyahu before he was put in his mother's womb, what was the relationship like? Why did he tell him that? Why would Yahweh make this prophet aware of the fact that before you came into this earth, I knew you? Why is that important to the prophet's life? Before you entered any space of influence, I knew you. In the New Covenant, you call it the New Testament, Yahweh spoke to the church and made it clear. Or through Yochanan, he wrote to the Hebrew people. And he said, the saints' names have been written in the Lamb's Book of Life before the foundation of the world. Not when you walked to the altar and repeated something that Yeshua never told anybody to say. When is it? And why is this so important? Spiritual education is essential to the sustenance of the Church of Yeshua. Spiritual education. You are not supposed to be, as a saint, ignorant and uneducated in reference to spiritual matters. Yahweh knowing you or knowing someone before the foundation of the world doesn't mean that he's appointed you to preach. Everyone is not appointed to be a prophet. This text, when he spoke to the prophet, why did he say to this prophet Yirmeyahu that I've appointed you to be a prophet to nations? Okay, Apostle Josh, blessings, my brother. So good to see you here. We have an assignment tomorrow, and I can't wait to see you on it. Get your throat ready. You hear mine? Your voice is still rich, so you'll be speaking. Yirmeyahu said, verse 6, O Yahweh Elohim, I don't even know how to speak. I'm just a child. Listen to his proclamation. I am just a child. I don't know how to talk. But Yahweh said to me in verse 7, don't say I'm just a child, for you will go to whomever I send you, and you will speak whatever I order you. There you see here, we begin the text, to examine the text, where the prophet, good to see me listen on this, the prophet is told that he will go to whomever Yahweh sends him, not to PNC, not to Forward Ghana Movement, not to PPP, not to ALP, not to any group, not to Democrats or Republicans. He said, wherever I send you, that is where you're going. Whatever I tell you to speak, that's what you shall speak. How do we know of prophets who have sworn allegiance to parties, and you call yourself a prophet? So you may say, well, how can an apostle, in terms of me, be doing what I'm doing? Because I've said to you that I can be an apostle of Yeshua, and I can work in the bank. I can be an apostle of Yeshua the Messiah, and I can teach Apostle Thomas who taught in the school. It doesn't stop me from being an apostle because I'm a public servant. So what I'm doing here is a public servant, or would likely be doing, if Yahweh should allow me to be doing it, would be function as a public servant, not as a lord or a little god. But it would not silence the voice. It would not stop me from preaching the gospel of Yeshua. If I have to make a choice between preaching the gospel of Yeshua the Messiah and being a prime minister, I shall preach the gospel of Yeshua. That is the highest calling that I ever have. So there's no position that I can be offered that make me feel as though I'm now some great person. No. Being an apostle of Yeshua the Messiah is the highest order, the highest honor, the most humbling, and the greatest responsibility you can ever have. For we watch for your soul, not your party. We give account for your soul. Do you understand something to your saints? We have to tell Yahweh about your soul. We have to, as elders of the church, account to him for the state that you're in. The prophet has a different responsibility in that the prophet doesn't hop to go and claim to be speaking on behalf of the divine ruler, the creator, trying his best to align himself with the king. That is not how the prophet functions. The prophet is assigned to address very critical matters, extremely critical matters. Ron said, thank you for clarifying. I'm glad that I did. Thank you, Ron. No, when it comes to Yahweh's prophets, they're different from false prophets. And I'll show you tonight that distinct difference. Yahweh can send a prophet to Irfan Ali, to Aubrey Norton, to Amanza Walton Desir, to Simona Brooms, to Bara Jagdeo, to Donald Trump. Why? Because the prophet, if you want to wear this mantle, you are sent to the nations, not a party. What's the problem? If Irfan Ali is lying to the people of a nation, being unjust to the people of a nation, and doing that which is violating the will and the order of justice, the prophet would not be sent to tell him, you're doing a good job. I see you winning. I see Guyana loving you. I see that you're a good man. The prophet would be sent to tell him the truth. Likewise, if that prophet that I call the PPP prophet were to be sent now to Aubrey Norton, you don't automatically say to Aubrey you lose because you, the prophet, favor the PPP. You don't go to Donald Trump and say, Donald Trump, you lose because I like Kamala Harris. That is not how the prophets function. Prophets do not function by preference. Prophets are sent to speak that which Yahweh orders them to, not what you like. So there's nothing like a Democratic prophet, and a Republican prophet, and a PNC prophet, and Ford Ghana movement prophet. No. You are called to speak the truth. You're called to speak the mind of Yahweh, and you're called to never have greater allegiance to a political group than you do to, or a man or a king, than you do to Yahweh himself. Yirmeyahu said that he was a child. Hear me. There is no prophet, none, who can be prophesying the mind of Yahweh for 20 years and still want to apply this to your life. You're not a child. You may be false, but you're not a child. Yirmeyahu as a child understood. He understood the danger. And that's what I said, most of you hear these people preaching this prophetic conferences, but have they all taught you the truth? Listen to me. Yirmeyahu as a child, and some of you all are grown, claiming to prophesy with 30s, you haven't understood this yet. You haven't understood this yet. Yirmeyahu understood from a child that I can't talk. It wasn't that he was dumb. It wasn't in case he had his speech impediment. He understood that as a child, I should not be going to speak anything to anyone about Yahweh. As a child, he understood the danger he faced in going to speak if he wasn't prepared to do so. Yet there are those of you who compel prophets to have political alignment, political association, and worse, political convictions to say, stand here on this side and prophesy for us. You heard me say, I think in 2023, to one young lady who used to be here, you'll tell the truth. I said to her by name, Sancha, you go to the PPP, and you told people, you disrespected two apostles, not even one. I said to her in 2023, I'm saying this for a reason, that because of your presence, remember Achan, I said the Achan effect, they will be worse because you're there. Now you all tell me if I like, since Achan called me a false prophet, and I'm not a prophet. I'm an apostle who at times can prophesy because Yahweh uses the apostle to do anything. That's the only gift that can do all. If you don't know now, you know. An apostle of Yahweh can prophesy. He can evangelize. That's what they were sent to do. He can pastor. He can teach. And he can function as an apostle. We can function in all gifts as he graces us to do so. Why? Because you shouldn't have authority over them if you don't understand how they function. And you cannot operate in them. So it doesn't mean that because I can prophesy, I'm a prophet. No. I now see why you had me wait this long to come talk to you. The quietness of the night is important. I said to that young lady, your presence in this group will make a mark that I wouldn't forget. I told her by name, your presence will make these people worse. Tell me if I've lied. Adriana Young wasn't murdered in 2023. Remember we started saying there was no key on Fudgening. The police didn't shoot Ronaldo Peters and grab him and throw him in the back of us. We didn't have all this reckless behavior in terms of skullduggery in our country. Pilfering our funds. If not, he wasn't lying half as much. He walks worse. Why? Because when Yahweh instructs you to speak, there is no relationship that is excluded. You hear me? So I don't know how many of you are prophetic. When Yahweh is dealing with the prophet, there is no relationship that is protected from the utterance of a prophet. Even your wife is not protected. Your children are not protected from the utterance of a prophet. Prophets do not say that I cannot speak to this situation because my wife is involved, or my son is involved, or my daughter is involved. I'm sitting here tonight to bring you clarity, to have you focus, as saints, on what should be and what should not be. Yirmeyahu understood that being a child was not what you want to go play around with this prophesying story about. Don't do it. Do not do it. He knew that he was in trouble. So Yahweh said to him, do not say I'm just a child. Watch this, watch this. It wasn't because, oh, you could just go talk. No. He said, you will go to whomever I send you. Please understand this. Yahweh said to him, don't say you're just a child. What will happen? As a child, you will go to wherever I send you. Careful. Wherever I send you. Thank you. That's good. As a child, y'all forgive me, I have to drink this. Okay, my throat, I have to restore my voice. As a child, you will go to whomever I send you. Once he told him that, pay attention, childhood is over. In terms of his chronological age or the number of years he lived on the earth, that's fine, you remain that. But once Yahweh says, wherever I send you, or whomever I send you to, you're going, you're no longer a child. I hope you all get this. Once Yahweh told him that when whomever I send you to, you're going, that's not childhood language. Now that's a childhood assignment. And I'll show it to you. I'll show it to you from the text. Once Yahweh told Yirmeyahu that whomever I send you to, you're going to them, you're no longer a child. You're a prophet sent by Yahweh. There's no age attached to that anymore. What did Yeshua tell the disciples? If I send this little child to you all, and you reject the child, you rejected me and the one who sent me. Why? Because you don't look at the age. A prophetic assignment is always divine if it's true. If Yahweh sends a prophet, it doesn't matter what the age is. There's no old prophet, young prophet in a context of assignment. They could be old and young in terms of age, but not assignment. Watch this. There's a text that the church has abused, and you find a lot in the Adventist church, where they've said, they take the text that says, how will you speak? Here a little, there a little. You know, I've heard a text. For this how you speak, here a little. And the notion they took was that you go line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. And the thought process is that you're supposed to just grab this. And you grab text from everywhere and make make a message or make a doctrine. All right? But what is it? Yeryahu, and I'll read it for you. It's Yeryahu chapter 28. Very popular text. But let me show you what come before, right? Oh boy. Let me show you how dangerous it is when people don't understand or are not skilled to teach. This is Yeryahu here, not Isaiah. His name is Yeryahu. Verse number 5. In that day shall Yahweh of hosts, Yahweh Sabaoth, be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of people. Shalom, shalom. And for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn to the battle gate. But they also have erred through wine, and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink. They got drunk. It wasn't the wine was the problem. They got drunk. They're swallowed up of wine. They're out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble in judgment. For all the tables are full of vomit and filthiness, so that there is no place clean. When Yahweh search in where there should have been order and decency, when he searched where there should have been proper behavior, there was vomit. I pray you'll see this. The prophets and the priest were so drunk that they could not even see clearly. Money has drunken some of y'all. You're not seeing clearly. Verse 9. Now look at this. That's what you call pretext. Verse 9. Verse 9. For whom shall he teach knowledge? Okay. And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from milk and drawn from the breasts. Listen to it here. For precept must be upon precept. Precept upon precept. Line upon line. Okay, right. Line upon line. Here a little, there a little. It continues. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. What is that saying? Oh my God. This will give some of y'all a heart attack. So sit in bed and please be careful. Don't fall off. Listen to me. How could you take this text and use that to mean that you have to take a piece of a scripture from here and a piece from there and you put it together? And that's a lesson. That is never what he said. And I'll show you from the scripture where it is. So those of you watch the replay, I'm glad you did. Those on YouTube follow me, Nigel London TV, it'll be there as well. So the comments won't distract you, because this is intense teaching here. Let me show you, saints, why you don't just listen and just, oh yeah, it makes sense. Yahweh has never instructed the church to take a piece from here, take a piece from there, and he make it a doctrine. Never did he say that. And I prove it to you from the text. He said, for with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak. What is he saying? Will he speak to these people? No, he's saying to you that he will take prophets who babble. What they say don't make any sense then. They're all over the place. I show you from the text we're saying. This is not to make doctrine. This was judgment. Because the prophets were drunk. They were concerned about partying and having a good time and feeling as though they belong in this uppity circle. This lofty group. They're drunk, vomiting up all over the place. And he said, because of that, who will I use to teach? Somebody that is weaned from milk and drawn from the breast. He said, here's what I'm going to do to you all. You can have precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. And he's saying how it is. Here a little, there a little. So they're all over the place. And I'll show it to you. Let me prove it to you right now. Verse 12. To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith you may cause the weary to rest. And this is the refreshing. Yet they will not hear. Now watch verse 13. Watch verse 13, please. Pay attention to this as I read it. But the word of Yahweh was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. Listen to this, saints, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and trapped and captive or taken captive. Wow. You should say that. You should say that. The here a little, there a little, precept on precept was never but a doctrine. It was a setup where they be prophesying blah, 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 in essence as it's translated here, just nonsense. Why? Because they'll have no direction. The people will not know where to go. And because they don't know where to go, because they're in nonsense from the prophets, they will fall backward, back into trouble. They'll be broken, they'll be trapped, and they'll be taken captive. And that's what happened to Israel. Where in the world did anybody have the right to hop and take that part of a text and say, you're supposed to make doctrine here a little, there a little? No, that wasn't my doctrine. That was about a prophecy from Yahweh as to how Israel will become trapped and taken captive, which is what has happened to many of you, because you went to prophets who function in the same manner. They babble. And you follow them, and your life has come to ruin. Or would have. Thanks be to Yahweh that He's brought you to the truth. Some of you follow these prophets and you wound up with nothing. Your life became worse. Economically you suffered. They got better, but you got worse. Yahweh never once said, not you're supposed to have precept upon precept, precept upon precept. He's like you're dancing then, all over the place. Bless you, my brother Apostle T. This was about people being trapped and taken captive. By what? Babbling prophets. Back to Yirmeyahu. He said, so don't say you're a child. Do not say that you're a child, because when I'm sending you to people, you will say exactly what I tell you to say. So Yahweh will not send you. Yahweh will not send you to Babel. Let's go to verse 8. Do not be afraid of them, because he's going to nations. So you should not be afraid of nations. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to rescue you. He's speaking to pulling down here. Uproot, tear down, destroy, demolish. Before we get there, and we speak to the conference, this is coming for the conference as well. Those who know their God. We have this at the conference. I'm just introducing you to what's happening Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saints, Yahweh said to the prophet, do not be afraid of them. Why would he tell this prophet that before you go to nations, I have to inform you that fear will be attached to you unless you have assurance that I'm with you? If you don't have in your heart the assurance that Yahweh is with you, you cannot function as a prophet. Because what you're assigned to do is never about, yes, oh wonderful. No. The assignment of a prophet is to engender or to create or to stir up hatred. Just understand, the first thing the prophets cause is hatred. That's why the people told Yeshua. Yeshua told them, y'all kill the prophets. Why? Why did the fathers kill the prophets? Because they hated to hear what they were saying. They couldn't stand to hear the truth. You got all these cheerleader prophets now. We got cheerleaders in the church. You call to have cheerleaders? This some basketball game you at? All the wickedness you see in this country. And you have president and them cheering you on? And calling you decent men? Why do you think that they attack me so much? It's subliminal, of course. Only critic. And your day is coming. Don't worry. You haven't learned. You'll be the perfect example for this nation to see. And I said it tonight. Mikhail Rodriguez. Because you did what Ali didn't do. You want to mention me by name and say I'm a false prophet. So you will understand exactly. You'll be a perfect example. Do not be afraid of them. The reason why kings who are wicked would hate prophets who are righteous is because the prophet is fearless. And the prophet will announce to the king that you're wicked. Not that you're a good man and you're a man of great distinction. No, the prophet will announce to the king that you are wicked. What you're doing is wrong. And that kind of word doesn't sit well with the king. Because remember that the nation fears the king. But the prophet fears Yahweh. The nation fears the king. Because the king has agencies within the nation. The police, the army, his hitmen on the side, supporters, loyalists. They have a plethora, a wide array of people who can work for them. So the nation fears the king. But the prophet fears Yahweh. So when the prophet has divine fear, which is reverence, he doesn't fear men. He doesn't fear the king. He tells the king exactly what Yahweh has said, because Yahweh said, whomever I send you to, you will go. And you shall say what I tell you to say. Not what the king wants to hear. Not what the party likes to hear. You will declare to them what I have told you to say. And right after that, he said, don't be afraid of them, for I'm with you, says Yahweh. Watch this. To rescue you. There is no king who can kill a prophet unless Yahweh has permitted it to happen. For Yahweh knows how to deliver the righteous. Yahweh knows how to preserve kings. Yahweh knows how to keep the prophet and to preserve the king for judgment. Yahweh knows how to rescue the prophet, but how to destroy the king. He knows how. So you hopping around the place calling yourself prophet, I came to speak to you tonight. Because we have to address what happens when prophets fear kings. When a prophet is afraid of a king, he doesn't prophesy the truth. He cannot speak the truth. We'll close with this text, or the other two. Then Yahweh put out his hand and touched my mouth. And Yahweh said to me, there, I have put my words in your mouth. I can't wait for Friday. Friday can't come fast enough for me to begin to preach. He put his hand, touched my mouth. I hope you'll get this. This is the first time you're seeing a record of Yahweh physically, according to, well, of course it wasn't an actual thing, but where Yahweh's hand is being mentioned as having touched someone's mouth, a child in your eyes, but one so valuable that Yahweh said, I'll touch your mouth. And what he said, my words are now in it. He breathed into Adam in Genesis 2 the breath of life, but his words were not in his mouth. You would expect that when Yahweh breathed into man, man would have been able to speak the word of Yahweh. No. So it is the hand of Yahweh that activated the words of the prophet. The hand of Yahweh on the prophet's mouth caused him to speak. And he said to him, I've put my words in your mouth. Watch this. Today I have placed you over nations and kings. That statement does not apply to prophets who go to PNC, ALP, FGM, TPM, whatever you go to. Trump, Kamala, Perry Christie, whoever. I don't care where you go. This word doesn't speak to you then. Because Yahweh said, I've placed you, the prophet, over nations. Apostle T, let Friday come tomorrow, please. So I could preach myself happy, as the old people say. Listen to me. Yahweh never said that I've placed the king over you. Oh my God. Help us tonight, Lord. He said, because I've touched you, I didn't touch the king. The kings of Israel, he'd have the oil, and they'll pour the oil on the head of the king. That's called anointing him. That's it. The prophet, not the king, not the king's father, the prophet would take the oil of Yahweh and pour it on the head of the king. The king does not anoint the prophet. The king does not appoint the prophet. The king cannot judge the prophet. So who's greater? Well, I just showed you in the text. Yahweh said to the prophet that I have placed you over nations and kingdoms, not this one alone. The king has the throne. The prophet has the touch on his mouth. And you need to understand the difference. The king has a throne. If you could sit on the throne. But what you don't have is the hand of Yahweh on your mouth to speak to this nation. And that's why you speak as if you have no sense. And you're disingenuous because you cannot utter a word by the Spirit of Yahweh. His hand has never touched your lips, but his wrath is over your head. Because you're a dishonest man. You believe that heaven has forgotten you? You believe that Yahweh has erased the impending judgment on your life for lying about that child, Adriana? You believe that Yahweh is going to just give you a free pass here? For being so insensitive? When you are seated according to Scripture, you're positioned to bring a sword to the wicked. You have opted to be a friend to the wicked and bring the sword to the wounded. And you believe that you'll have a free pass? Yahweh touched the mouth of the prophet and said, there, I've put my words in your mouth. And the next thing he said to him is, today I've placed you over kings, over nations and kingdoms. Why? Because the prophet with the word in his mouth is greater than an entire nation without it. You all could go to bed with that one right here. Go to sleep now. The prophet with the word, with the touch of Yahweh in his mouth, is greater than an entire nation without the word. So it doesn't matter how many people you have around you. You can have 10 million people in a nation. If they don't have one touch from Yahweh on their lips, they are less than a prophet in terms of authority. Which is why Israel had a prophet that spoke to them. Not a nation spoke to the prophet. What does Guyana have? Who's your prophet in the USA? Who? Who prophesies to you in the USA? Who? Tell me. Who is the prophet in the Bahamas? Who's the prophet in Jamaica? Name the prophet in Trinidad. Come. I guess you all understand something to you. Because the general nature of the prophet is to go under the king's authority, and that's where you get yourself into trouble. That's where you're already in trouble. You don't bow to any king. You speak to him. You don't bow to him. As an apostle of the Lord Yeshua, who prophesies by his unction, I could never bow to you, Fanali, Barrett, and any one of y'all. None of you. For in the eyes of my Father, you're not greater than I am, so why must I bow to you? You are ungodly and you're wicked, so worse I wouldn't bow to you. Apostle say not prophets. They're prophets, P-R-O-F-I-T-S. Money men. Today, said Yahweh, I have placed you over nations. Why? I say again, because you have the word. Once Yahweh touches your mouth, he said, there, I've put my word in your mouth, Yirmeyahu. Therefore, right now, you are placed over nations. And you placed over kingdoms. To do what? To uproot. Not to hold a crusade. Not to hold a revival service. Not to make all the calls. Not to prophesy about who'll get a car, who'll get a house, who... No, this right here is, I put my word in your mouth. I put you over nations and kingdoms to, first of all, uproot. Step one, you can't deal with and you say you're a prophet. Step one, you cannot handle and you want to be called prophet. The word in the mouth of the prophet is to cause disturbance. That's the first thing you do. You cause disquiet. You cause uneasiness in the camp of the wicked. Root up. Uproot. Which means something has to be planted. And whatever is planted, you have the power to go and deal with it as a prophet. In the whole nation. This is not a secret meeting prophet. I had to come tonight to introduce you to Apostolic Reforming Movement 2025 according to Pope Gregory's calendar, and what lies ahead on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Oh, what a time, as the old Baptist preachers say, what a time, when we will gather as saints to glorify Yahweh, exalt his holy name, hear his word, encounter each other's presence, enjoy each other's presence. And for the first time, during what's called an election campaign, but the famous Shalom Person Prime Minister, a prime ministerial candidate will be standing to preach the gospel of Yeshua without fear, as they say, without favor, without compromise. Yahweh is faithful. We are not, yes, it will be live stream, Stacy, live stream every night. We have generators where we need to have, so nobody bothers in terms of our connection. We are not going to Craverton to fight any church. Let me make it clear to you. Saints are not coming from around the Caribbean, around the region, around Guyana, to go there to talk with the church and fight the church. We're going there to be, it's what is called Apostolic Reforming Movement. This is where we're going to gather to hear from your leader and leaders. Doctrine, prophecy, if he allows it to happen. But most importantly, spiritual insight into the church's position from an apostolic voice. Do not take that for granted. It is well. Thank you, T. But just hear what I said to you. From the moment he received the hand of Yahweh on his lips, and Yahweh said, I've put my words in your mouth. He said, today, not you have to go to some prophetic school and 3 months of prophetic class, 3 weeks of this, 6 weeks of training, 2 months of that, a prophetic conference here and there, travel to sit at the feet of anybody. He said, I have touched your mouth, and immediately you've become one who's over nations and one who's over kingdoms. Kingdoms! Because you have the word in your mouth. And when you have the word of Yahweh in your mouth, the first thing you need to do is you uproot. Saints, I love you. I thank you all for being patient. And I can't wait for Friday. Tune in at 7 p.m. every evening. Friday, Saturday. Sunday, we'll gather for fellowship. And then in the afternoon, we'll have what we did today. Games, fun. Enjoy each other's company. Yes, saints can have fun. Then we return to our various places on Monday, Yahweh willing. Those of you attending the conference, I look forward to being there with you all. Eagerly do. Let us pay attention to why we're gathering. Peter Sam has a very important question to ask. How would a apostle deal with sitting at other religious functions? And I'm happy you asked the question. The constitution of this country does not dictate to the religious conviction of any leader. We have the culture, and thank you for the question, Peter. We have the culture and the perception of what leaders should do. But there's no instruction in the Constitution. Rather, the Constitution permits every Guyanese to propagate his or her religion, and to allow others to do the same. As a result of that, you would not find me, like Irfan Ali, if I were to be Prime Minister, running to all religious functions just to appear to be the people's Prime Minister. It doesn't work like that. My job is to be a Prime Minister, if I were one, to serve the people in a constitutional capacity. That's it. We will not become a dictatorial nation. And you saw it in the PPP, by the way. When Baby Skello, for example, sang something that they claimed offended their God because of the general nature of the PPP. What they did, they persecuted that young man. They have him before the court. And the God can't speak for herself. And that's just a fact. The first time you're hearing somebody being charged for blasphemies on the PPP. Nonsense. It might sound strange coming from me, but that would not happen. Faith or faith-based organization, you are protected by law. And you have a young lady who was talking the gods about Adriana Young, and she's free. Where's Jennifer Ali? ERC still looking to have a conversation with her. There's a law that prohibits what she's doing, if you don't know that. But she's done in jail. But Baby Skello is put before the court. Nonsense. But to answer your question more directly, Peter Simon, I'm happy that you asked it, because many people have an interest in that. I am not inclined to do it, because nobody, I would not change to go beyond just to appear to be this person for everybody. Irfan Ali is not Muslim. I don't care what he says, because no Muslim commentator on face Irfan is Muslim. Irfan is not even anything close to Muslim. He commits haram consistently. Muslims are prohibited from going to anything called Hindu festival and have a beer on your skin. You cannot do it. And if there anyone, Aliyak husband, come tell me, you tell me Sheikh Haq, if that's acceptable. Muslims can't go to about you celebrate Christmas? No. And you got Christians praying for you? No. Irfan Ali is an opportunist who's disgraceful and has even disgraced the religion he claims to have or profess. I'm really happy that Peter asked the question, because as I said, I know people have this, you know. No. And for me, it's a very simple way that I operate in life. If you have the right to propagate your religion, and you have the right, because I don't stop Hindu something or Christian or anybody, or Muslim from telling me, say what you want to say, and that's the problem that they have. I allow you to say what you have to say. I don't become offended by it. But how is it when I decide to talk, you've got a problem? I give you the right to tell me whatever you want to say. You could come to me and tell me you want to introduce me to Hinduism or whatever. I listen to you, no problem. But when I say, and I allow them to say, oh, they believe that my belief is false, no problem, say it, it's okay. But when I reciprocate, it's a problem. So who really has the issue? And this is me. My children know who I am. This is me on a normal basis. I give you the right to talk. But why you have a problem when I answer you? So every Guyanese has the right to practice your religion. Fine. But that does not remove my right to practice mine, which includes probably not going to yours. It doesn't mean we're enemies. We're just Guyanese with the right to function the way we do. Now, what I love about this group, this movement I'm a part of, is that that's the kind of nature we have. So there may be a Hindu within the Forgana movement who can go in reference to governance, and you can go interact with them. What's the problem? We had the same culture for all these years, and where has Ghana gotten? What has that gotten us? Where do we go? What did we gain? I believe in being true to myself. Even in reference to homosexuals, and I'm not attacking you here because I don't have, I've said what I said and I mean what I've said. So that's not it, but let me just make it clear to you all. I could deal better with a man who says I'm homosexual. Although I don't agree to behavior, I could deal with it, with you, straight up. As opposed to a man who pretends to be this tough guy, but you in some back door somewhere doing foolishness. In essence, I believe that people must function by their conviction, as long as their conviction is within the confines of what is lawful and right. I'm saying that to establish the fact, or the point, that I would rather have a president who does not attend the ceremony because it's not his or her religious conviction than one who goes there just to be a hypocrite. That's the bottom line. That's what I'm saying to you. And we should all have respect for that. And don't lie and make some excuse. It's just the truth. This is your religious opportunity, or to your religion dictates that you have, do what you do. Fine, go ahead and do that. But respect somebody else who doesn't have the same belief as you. Value that. That makes us different and makes the world a beautiful place. At some point, someday, hopefully, we'll know who is true and who's not. So, saints, much love to you all. And again, I cannot say how much I'm grateful for Peter's question. It really, really was important to be addressed. I was going to do the conference, but I'm happy that you said it here. So, much love to you all. Shalom. Be at peace. Be at peace. Please be on the alert for information regarding the conference and how we're going to function. Okay? We'll be streaming live every night. I can't wait. We're thankful to Apostle Joshua Bissoon for being the host. Thank you, Yeshua Save Ministries, for being, of course, always excellent hosts. We're grateful to you all, and we're happy for our coordinators, Apostle Wilkie, Apostle Thomas. And I'm so glad that I could just at times say, listen, brothers, you take care of this, and it's organized. I'm grateful. Thank you all. Shalom.